Good evening. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. On the show tonight, a huge political victory for the BJP's prime ministerial candidate as the Gujarat Court upholds the clean chit given to Narendra Modi for the riots. Has the ghost of 2002 finally been buried for the Gujarat Chief Minister? While in a major relief to Mr. Modi, a court in Gujarat today rejected a protest petition filed by Zakia Jafri against the clean chit given to him by the special investigation team probing the 2002 riots. Zakia Jafri's husband, Ehsan Jafri, a former Congress MP, was among the 68 people killed in the Gulbarg Society massacre. Immediately after the order today, Arun Jaitley tweeted, Modi goes into the 2014 campaign untainted by propaganda.
A major victory for the BJP's prime ministerial candidate over a Gujarat riot widow. An Ahmedabad court has upheld the clean chit given to Narendra Modi by the Supreme Court appointed special investigation team probing the Gujarat riots of 2002. It was the only criminal case against him. In its 440-page order, the court said there was no conspiracy on the part of the Chief Minister and his cabinet as they showed alacrity in requisitioning the army. The court also questioned the credibility of IPS officer Sanjiv Bhatt, who had claimed that he attended a meeting chaired by Modi on February 27th, in which he had told the police to go slow on rioters. The court says there is no relevant evidence that Mr. Modi made the controversial statement, and there is no evidence to prove Sanjiv Bhatt was even present at the meeting. And that Modi's statement on action and reaction should also be seen in toto, and no sections in the IPC can be invoked for this.
There were several points of differences between amicus curiae Raju Ramachandran and SIT. While the SIT said there was no prosecutable evidence against the Gujarat Chief Minister, Raju Ramachandran, on the other hand, said there were evidences which could result in further probe against the Chief Minister. In the end, the court upheld the SIT findings.
Zakia Jafri, the woman who took Modi to court for conspiracy, says she's saddened but will not give up.
10 साल में न्याय नहीं मिला है और अभी भी आप के अंदर एक आशा एक उम्मीद जागी हुई है
मिलेगा क्यों नहीं मिलेगा उम्मीद पे दुनिया कायम है जरूर लड़ूंगी और कुछ भी करूंगी और हिम्मत नहीं हारूंगी.
Soon after the verdict, Modi tweeted, Satyameva Jayate, the truth alone triumphs.
He faced an adversity and he has emerged stronger in this adversity. राजनीतिक से ज्यादा मोदी जी का और जो हमारी पार्टी आज तक कहती रही है, मैं इसको एक अपनी पार्टी की और मोदी जी की नैतिक जीत मानता हूं.
With the court here confirming the SIT's clean chit to Narendra Modi, the NDA's prime ministerial candidate has cleared a major hurdle. Elated, Narendra Modi tweeted, Satyameva Jayate, truth alone triumphs. The BJP will now hope to translate this victory by winning more allies and votes in the 2014 general elections. With Rohit Bhan in Ahmedabad, Tejas Mehta for NDTV.
Well, interestingly, the centre announced a probe today into the Snoopgate controversy, setting up a judicial commission of inquiry to go into charges of spying on a young woman in 2009, in which it is alleged that it was Mr. Modi who ordered that spying on the young lady in question. The decision to order this judicial commission was taken today by the cabinet, despite the Modi government already having set up a similar panel earlier. The BJP has slammed the move, calling it an affront to states and to federalism, and say that they will legally challenge it. This evening, the Home Minister told reporters that the probe would also cover Arun Jaitley's phone tapping case, as well as a case relating to snooping on Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh when the BJP was in power.
किसी का वेंडेटा हम नहीं ये करते हैं, रिवेंज नहीं लेने का करते हैं. मैं सुन रहा हूं ये ऐसी बात नहीं है और इसमें किसी तरह का पॉलिटिक्स नहीं. वो सीडीआर के तो वही केसेस है, क्योंकि उनकी भी पार्लियामेंट में क्वेश्चन हो गया था, जेटली जी ने क्वेश्चन किया था उस पर, वो भी हम मंगवा रहे हैं. हिमाचल के बारे में वो जब सत्ता में नहीं थे वहां के चीफ मिनिस्टर, उनके वक्त लिया था तो उनकी कंप्लेंट है.
इट्स अ फोनी कमीशन. ये एक फर्जी कमीशन ऑफ इंक्वायरी है. राज्य सरकार के खिलाफ जब आरोप लगे तो उसकी राजनीतिक पृष्ठभूमि आप समझ लीजिए. इस सो कॉल्ड स्नूप स्कैंडल के अलावा 3 और मामले थे जिसमें मोदी जी को फंसाने का षड्यंत्र था. इसका मैं पहले भी जिक्र कर चुका हूं। पहला मामला था शराबुद्दीन वाला, जिसमें सीबीआई की फाइल पे यह नोटिंग है। जब उनके लीगल डिपार्टमेंट ने कहा कि अमित शाह के खिलाफ केस नहीं बनता, तो यह टिप्पणी की गई कि इसलिए केस बनाना जरूरी है कि मुख्यमंत्री तक पहुंचने का एक रास्ता है। इस नोट का मैंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को जो पत्र लिखा था सीबीआई पे, उसमें भी जिक्र किया, उसमें नहीं फंसा पाए।
So two different aspects to the Narendra Modi story tonight. One on this very controversial decision by the cabinet to set up this parallel commission of inquiry into Snoopgate. Is the timing of this political vendetta? We'll be talking about that a little later. But first, whether today's clean chit by the Gujarat Court has in fact ended this taint that Mr. Modi, many believe, has been carrying around for years as far as the riots are concerned. Let's first go across to Sanjiv Bhatt, former IPS officer who joins us tonight from Ahmedabad. And Sanjiv Bhatt is one of the key players in this entire case. Mr. Bhatt, today the court has actually been very harsh on you in particular and on other police officers who had testified against Mr. Modi, saying, one, that you claim that a meeting had taken place on the 27th of February in which Mr. Modi, you say, has told police officers to go slow on rioters. The court has said there's no evidence to prove that you were even there at the meeting and that there was no evidence to suggest that Mr. Modi ever made that controversial statement. Your reaction to that tonight, Mr. Bhatt?
Nidhi, I am yet to go through the order of the court, but we have been saying all throughout that the entire effort of the SIT headed by Mr. Raghavan has been not to find out evidence which would support the allegations of the complaint made by Ms. Jafri, but the entire effort has been to try and destroy the credibility of the witnesses, be it Mr. Abhishek Kumar, be it Rahul, be it me, be it anyone. And the SIT has also condescended in the destruction of records of the control rooms of the state police, of the state intelligence bureau. So it is an investigation which was grossly deficient.
But then you're questioning the motives of the SIT which was set up by the Supreme Court.
Absolutely, we have been questioning this ab initio. See, a mere appointment by the Supreme Court does not make the SIT sacrosanct. SIT consists of mortal human beings, IPS officers like me, and they were under tremendous pressures or influences, whatever. And the conduct of the SIT was very clear, and that had been pointed out to the Supreme Court in 2011, and that was also pointed out to the amicus curiae, Mr. Raju Ramchandran, and he had made certain very pertinent observations, which the SIT has chosen to disregard, and somehow the court before which the closure report was presented has also not been able to appreciate the true gravity of the situation.
But it is at the end of the day a court verdict, Mr. Bhatt. At the end of the day, a court in this country has found that the SIT report is perfectly in order and has upheld that clean chit.
At the end of the day, it is one of the biggest travesties of justice in independent India. And this is not the end of the road. This round goes to Mr. Modi and his cohorts, yes. Like the earlier round with the SIT investigation, this round also goes to him. But this is not the end of the road. There are courts to which this court would be answerable for all the shortcomings in the judgment. So now we'll have to study the judgment, go through it, and it will be appealed against. I'm sure Ms. Jafri will go in for revision against the said order.
Okay. So Sanjiv Bhatt, stay with us. Let me get commentator Ashok Malik into this. Ashok, your first reactions, A, to the verdict, B, to what Sanjiv Bhatt says, because that has been the argument of Mr. Bhatt all along and other activists who have been campaigning against Mr. Modi. They've questioned the very motives of the SIT. There have been many question marks on the way the SIT has investigated this. But now that the court order is here and the verdict is here, is this a closed chapter?
See, if Mr. Bhatt can question senior officers in the SIT, including a former CBI chief, who was by all accounts a very credible CBI chief, I can turn around and question Mr. Bhatt, somebody else can question me. Now, it doesn't matter who questions whom, it's a question of the court's satisfaction. If the court is satisfied, I'm afraid we have to accept that, and he is completely right. Mrs. Jafri can appeal to the High Court, and then the Supreme Court, I'm sure she will. It is my understanding that unless new compelling evidence comes up, the High Court would perhaps uphold what the local court has said today, but of course I can't prejudge that. I don't think this is a victory for Mr. Modi as some people described it. I think this is a significant advance in his final complete exoneration from charges he's faced in 2002.
Why don't you use the word victory
Because
or
victory
vindication?
has to, well, in a matter like this, I wouldn't want to use a word as crude as victory, because after all, people did die in Gulbarg. Somebody was responsible. I believe, and the court now believes, and the SIT believes, Mr. Modi was not responsible, but obviously Mrs. Jafri deserves justice. Justice means that those who are guilty should be punished. Justice also means that those who are not guilty should not be punished. Both are important. So in that sense, Mr. Modi has made a significant advance and improving his case, and in a sense vindicating his record from 2002. But it has to go on to, as Mr. Bhatt said, I have to concede that, to the higher court now.
Let me take this to Mr. Pawan Verma of the JDU who joins us this evening as well. Mr. Verma, how do you react to then what the BJP immediately said in the aftermath of this verdict? Arun Jaitley in particular saying Modi goes into the 2014 campaign untainted by propaganda. Is this a closed chapter as far as you're concerned?
No, Nidhi, we must respect a judicial verdict. And I must say, I also endorse what Mr. Modi said. Satyavev Jayate, truth alone shall prevail. But we shall see what the truth is and how it will prevail. This is a finding at the level of a magistrate in Ahmedabad. The Supreme Court itself has given permission to appeal against it. It's not as if by this judgment the truth has been so bifurcated into black and white. We have the amicus curiae report, a very distinguished lawyer and law official, Raju Ramchandran, which found in the same evidence enough evidence for further investigation. The SIT came to a different conclusion. A lower level court has upheld it. The court judgment has to be studied. And this 75-year-old lady, Zakia Jafri, who has been waging a crusade for the last 11 years for justice for her husband, an MP who was hacked and burned to death alive, along with 69 others, along with in spite of hundreds of telephone calls made to the police. And there is a massive sense of hurt, Nidhi. This is not a moment for triumphalism. This is not a moment for glorification or for self-congratulation. There is a massive hurt there. Thousands of people died in a carnage. There is a demand for justice. Justice shall prevail, truth shall prevail. We have faith in the judicial system, but it's not a time to suddenly say all clean chits delivered, now everything is clear, the elections are the main goal, and now you can win the election. This kind of talk, I believe, is not necessary.
Okay, let me take that to Nirmala Sitharaman. Nirmala Sitharaman, Pawan Verma says it's not a moment of triumphalism, and this is not the last that we have heard on this case yet, something that Sanjiv Bhatt also says. Of course, for the BJP, it is a big relief today because, as you've been saying, you believe that Mr. Modi has been the target of propaganda all these years, and that this is in a sense a vindication of his stand.
That's right, Nidhi, and certainly let me be clear on the program here. It is not a sense of triumphalism, but at the same time, nearly 10 years now, we've had a campaign, a vicious campaign of certain sections of NGOs, sponsored groups, which were in the process or in the guise of working for justice for the affected victims, which is their right, and I think every riot affected person should get their justice. Definitely. But in the name of doing that, a wish list was being prepared to make the Chief Minister himself always be brought into the center stage as though he is the one who personally got himself involved in it. And it is in that sense that we want to say that that propaganda, that vicious targeted attack to make the Chief Minister appear as though he was personally involved in it is no longer worth holding, because on evidence there is nothing against him. And therefore, let us not now camouflage everything saying, oh, you can't celebrate, you can't have. We are not celebrating. But at the same time, it is a moment for us to stand up and say we've always held that there is no such a thing, and he's done the best within his official capability to get the army, to get the relief and so on. And that's been proved in so many different ways through various commissions. But if after that, if you still say, and even today, if there is a misleading campaign going on, saying, oh, this is not the end of the story, there's something else, to personally affect him, I think that kind of a misleading attempt should stop.
Let me though ask you that, do you feel that part of the problem in this case has been, as Pawan Verma was pointing out, that there was another report by a very well respected senior lawyer, Raju Ramachandran. Of course, at the end of the day, what matters is what the court has said. The court upheld the SIT's report. It didn't uphold Raju Ramachandran's report. But the very fact that it was so contradictory to the SIT's findings, it actually said that there was a case to prosecute Mr. Modi for promoting enmity among different groups. Mr. Ramachandran, like I said, also a very respected gentleman here. Has that been part of the problem in this story, Nirmala Sitharaman, that there were these different narratives? And no matter what the court has said, at the end of the day, both those narratives are out there, and you know, people are judging the story by looking at both these reports.
Nidhi, I'm actually grateful that you raised this point now, and I therefore would want to give it from my point of view, from the point of giving a clarification on the understanding of what these two narratives, as you call they are. Raju Ramachandran was yes, respected senior, is a respected senior Supreme Court advocate. But in his capacity as a friend of the court, which is what an amicus curiae is, he was facilitating the process, and he was also asked to, you know, help around in doing what a technically qualified advocate should be doing for all those who are involved in the case. But that doesn't mean that he's at par with an inquiry commission or the SIT itself. He is an amicus curiae that gives him the right to be a friend of the court, but he cannot be, his opinions are not equatable to the opinions of a commission of inquiry or the SIT itself. He had no authority to draw evidences and sit over, and even then if you want to take his opinion seriously, what did he after all say? He said, you know, there is a version this way, there is a version that way. As an amicus curiae, I'm not deciding, maybe there can be a further inquiry and so on. And with him having said that, the Supreme Court told the SIT, which is the body which is being monitored by the Supreme Court itself, for collecting the evidences, to see if there's any merit, add it if necessary, if not, just, you know, send the report to the lower court. And therefore, consistently to pit the amicus curiae's opinion as though it is an opinion of an investigative agency may not be appropriate.
Okay, so you don't think that's a fair comparison. Shahid Siddiqui,
Absolutely.
What does this verdict then mean politically for Mr. Modi as we head into a crucial general election? Look, at the end of the day, many would argue that this was, in a sense, a last small hurdle to cross, because he's got a certain momentum that he's already built up for the BJP. He is the prime ministerial candidate. What does this actually do for him just ahead of the polls?
Nidhi, unfortunately, the truth has been lost in this fog, in this of politics. So now it doesn't really matter what the truth is. The fact is that there is one perception, there is another perception. Those who are for Mr. Modi will not believe anything, whatever may be the proof, and those who are opposed to Mr. Modi will not accept any court judgment. That is a very unfortunate situation at the moment. But what I would like to say is that here Mr. Modi may have been successful in legal terms, but moral terms, it is still open for him to go out, extend a hand of love and friendship towards a person like Zakia Jafri, whose husband was before her own eyes killed, burned alive with so many other people. So as the Chief Minister of Gujarat, and in this position when he has been victorious, he should go ahead from the position of strength, extend a hand to Zakia Jafri, go to her and say that, look, this happened, this was terrible, and I will get you justice. Maybe I was not involved, maybe and therefore that will you know, bridge the chasm which has been building for last 12 years. And the time has come when we have to move ahead. If we go on and on and on, we are going to do only negative politics, whether for Congress or for BJP or for the people of this country. And therefore,
But
politically,
when you say
it
it's
may
a
be
moral
triumph for
question,
Mr. Modi, but morally it is not.
But if you say it is a moral question, what is it that you would want Mr. Modi to do to address that moral question? Because that is again an endless debate that we've had for nearly 10 years now. Has he apologized? Has he expressed regret? Should he say sorry in a more forthcoming way? Many believe he has expressed regret in the way that he could. Others don't agree with that. When you say moral responsibility, what should he do?
Nidhi, in the past it was said that if he takes any responsibility, if he says sorry, then he will be admitting his involvement. But now, since he has got this clean chit from the lower court, they may go for appeal in the higher court. I don't know what decision they will take. But since he has got this clean chit now, he is in a position of strength, and it is moral victory if he goes ahead and says, look, I am sorry for what happened. As the head of the state, I was not involved. The courts say that, but as a leader of Gujarat, I hold myself responsible in some way. That will be the moral, because if he wants to be the prime minister of this country, if he wants to lead this nation, then he has to come out clean in moral terms also, not only in legal terms. This I'm speaking not as a Muslim, but as an Indian. I feel that he will have to come out clean on morally.